Well, greetings everyone, and welcome once again to another Wednesday evening right here at the Sports Krib. It's let's get all our little commercial stuff out of the way here. As you can see, you can subscribe and donate on YouTube at our Cash App $JE King3, and all proceeds go to the Sports Krib for our different contests and whatnot. So, with that being said, I see Dave is here in the queue. Dave, how are we doing this evening?
Hey, I'm doing okay, James.
All right, and I see Reggie is here.
What's going on, fellas? Good to be here. Good to be here.
How's it going, guys? How's it going?
Always good, man.
Well, it's as I said, another perfect Wednesday out here in California. Sunshine on both sides of the street. What's it look like out there for you, Dave?
Oh, beautiful sunny day today in Maryland. Beautiful.
And what about Atlanta there, Reggie?
Hot. It's very, very hot. They call it Hotlanta for a reason. It is definitely hot.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get started here. Hopefully, Coach Anderson will be by, and if not, I got a couple of Royals by to talk about the Caitlin Clark thing here. But let's start out with Sue's Corner. Dave, there, what's going on with Sue?
All right. Yeah, she has a couple of things here. So, Sue's Corner. A couple of fun stories of the week. Wonderkin pitcher Paul Skenes of the Pittsburgh Pirates, yay, is the latest greatest pitcher of the Major League Baseball. It was a nice moment yesterday after he pitched 6 scoreless innings in St. Louis. The St. Louis crowd gave him a standing ovation. Now that's what sportsmanship is all about. And speaking of greats, funny story about reigning PGA champion Xander Schauffele playing golf with basketball GOAT Michael Jordan. They were recently playing a round of golf, and Xander thought he had the game won and did a little smack talk to Jordan. Xander said Jordan didn't say much, just put his head down and birdied the next few holes and beat Xander outright. You don't mess with one of the greatest athletes ever. By the way, Michael is 61 years old. Xander is 30. Watch and learn, young grasshopper. Bigger question for you golf followers. Rory McIlroy has been on an emotional roller coaster. He filed for divorce before the PGA. Golf's okay. And now reconciles with his wife and cancels the divorce just before the Open. So for the U.S. Open, being that Rory is always affected by what seems to be external forces in his life, does he play better this weekend or worse? Inquiring minds want to know because I have him on my betting pool list for this tournament and not sure if I should keep him on there. Lots of laughs. Nice. So that's Sue's Corner. So I don't know. You guys got an opinion on Rory for it?
Man, in my opinion, it'll be interesting to see how that comes out. Now that I've seen what the correlation here, there's a correlation that I didn't necessarily know existed here. Something I got to look out for.
I thought that was very interesting that they reconciled for the U.S. Open. I like to see what happens after the U.S. Open. I mean, is this just so that he can't put that excuse on her? Well, I had a bad game because of my wife. I mean,
we'll have to see how he plays, and then
that's what you got to do. You got to see how that all works out.
But does she get the credit if he plays well? I'm sure she's going to get the credit if he sucks.
Oh yeah, you know that's coming. if nothing else.
Oh man. So had scheduled Coach Anderson to come on. I'm not sure what happened today, and I do want to get some of the young ladies' thoughts on what's happening with Caitlin and the
Well, did
Olympics.
they win their last game?
Uh, yeah, I think they did. I think they did win their last game, but I mean, the
Was that
I
the one where she
guess.
scored 30?
Well, no, was it? But the game before that, they held her. Somebody held. Was it the Mystics or somebody that held her to 3?
No, the Mystics game is the one where she scored, where they barely won. I watched that game. At least not depending on how many times they played anyway.
Was that the 71-70 game?
Yeah, it was like a 1 point differential there. And I think that's
Yeah,
the game that she had 30. Then there's games where she's getting in single digits, going through those growing
yeah,
pains.
yeah, yeah. There's 2 games, but I do have a couple of the Royals players coming on tonight, so I want to see what they have to say about it.
I just wanted to say Sue is actually watching. She must be watching because she just texted me saying Reggie collects old comics like I have.
Yeah,
She loves
absolutely.
old comics.
Yes, absolutely, man.
Yeah, I think now, back, Dave, when we were young, comics had a whole different, dynamic. And, I remember, my dad, if I could have some of the comic books that he threw away, I mean, the
Yeah.
first Superman and Spider-Man, the Stan
Goodness.
Lees and all that. I mean, but, but anyway, let's talk about a few things while we're waiting for our 2 guests to come. Um, well, guys, it seems like Bobby Hurley has decided that he would rather have 3 NCAA championships than have the headaches of the Lakers. Hurley turned down 6 years, $70 million for the head coaching job of the Lakers. Supposedly, he's already in contract talks with UConn to make him the highest paid college basketball coach at this particular time. So, you guys know I'm not a Lakers fan, so I got my black socks on here. I'm congratulating Bobby Hurley. He did like Mike Krzyzewski. He didn't go for the okie doke. What was he going to have? 1 year, 2 years with LeBron, and then is he going to be on the hot seat again? He's in. I think he's in a very good position. He realizes that, and although he might not get 70 million, 110. I actually think that he's going to get more with the
That's
University
interesting.
of Connecticut. 6 years, 70 million. That's like 110 million a year. I think the University of Connecticut is going to, he has 2 back-to-back championships. I think they're going to give him over 125 mil, but that's just me.
125 million over what time? Over like 15 years? What kind of length of time is going to be on that?
I'm thinking that they're going to go for at least a 8 to 10 year thing to solidify him in there. Now, like we all know how these college contracts go, but I think they're going to try to get him in for at least 10 years. I think.
Okay.
But that's what do you guys think? I mean, first of all, Reg, what did you think about him turning down the Lakers?
I don't really know. It's interesting because with the college situation, I think that it's such a change, even when you're talking college, whether you're talking college football or basketball. When you're the college coach, you're the head person, you're the top person there. You're the top. You don't have really anybody to answer to. You're making more money than every human being in the state. I want to say, I think they're like some of the state's highest paid employees. So you're making more money than everybody there. You're big person on campus. When you go to the pro game, whether it's NFL or whether it's NBA, now these guys are making way more than you. It's a players league now. You got to kind of acquiesce a bit more to GMs and stuff like that. Sometimes people just don't want to make these lifestyle changes. So it's not really super surprising that he turned down his job, especially given that LeBron is not like LeBron's 29, LeBron year or two there, maybe a few years building with an Anthony Davis that struggles to stay healthy. I understand the move, especially being here. He already knows the area. Going from Connecticut to Cali is a big lifestyle change. So it's not super surprising that he decided to stay there, especially being at there. I heard they're working out a new contract too. I heard about that as well. So he must have got a sniff of what those numbers may be for him to turn down the money here.
Well, I mean, I also think it's a big difference when you're coaching youth and when you're coaching guys that are destined for the old folks home. I mean, this is a very.
Is that where LeBron's going? LeBron going to the old folks home, huh?
Well, I mean, come on. He's whether he's happens to be the number one basketball player or not, maybe that might be a statement against the league at 40 years old. But I do think that I mean, all of those guys are getting a little long in the tooth. The one thing the Lakers haven't done was, like, it seems like they know nothing about drafting guys under the age of 25. So, and then, I mean, you bring in Spencer Haywood. I mean, he's got at least half the number of birthdays that I do.
Goodness gracious.
So, hey, he's got to be at least, 34, 30, 33, 34?
Mm-hmm. Definitely not a young guy, for sure.
Yeah. Dave, I know you don't do a lot of basketball, but what did you think about Hurley turning down the Lakers?
Well, he like Reggie said, he must be smelling money elsewhere, even a bigger bag. But I just go back to my Army days. I was up for a company command, and I had a first sergeant at the time. And his advice to me was, hey, if you have a choice, if you're given a choice about what companies to take command of, don't take the really good company or the company that has their act together, has a history of being a good one. Take the dog unit, because there's only one way for that unit to go up. And
that's interesting.
And as opposed to, if you take over a well-established unit that's strack and everything, well, then if anything goes wrong, all that blame goes right to you. So but I suspect that there's some greener pastures that he's perhaps looking at. But big move. I mean, it's bold. I mean, that's a lot of money to walk away from, right?
Some are saying the Lakers probably could have paid a little bit more. Some felt like they were lowballing a little bit there if they really wanted to get him.
Well, like I said, 110 mil a year is not. I mean, what is that? 70 mil. How much is that for 6 years, Reg?
About roughly 11 to 12 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, that's you can walk around LA with that kind of money. I mean,
and hold your head up high.
Yeah,
he's definitely not any bread lines. I'll tell you that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, sticking on basketball here, we do have a game 3 tonight. Right now, it does seem that the Mavericks are holding their own, and this is a must-win game for them, I would say. As we know, nobody comes back from 3-0. So right now, the Celtics are up 2-0. We have this Porzingis injury. And I think if we kind of look back at the first 2 games, the margin of victory was actually Porzingis' points and rebounds. So now that we are probably, or at least they're saying that we're not going to see another Porzingis in the finals. What do you guys think? Are we going to see the Celtics go back to home 3-0? Is it going to be a hometown series? They win 2 in their hometown. Now it's time for the Mavericks to win. What do you think? Will the series end in Boston? Will it end in the Mavericks? What do you think, Reg?
I think it's going to be a more daunting task without Porzingis, but he already got you a couple games. They win most of the games with him. They win most of their games without him. So this is a winning basketball organization. They've been here several times. They should be able to get 2 games without Porzingis, being that they've got a little bit of history already with playing without him in the postseason and playing without him during the season. I think they'll be all right. And I don't know if it'll be 1 or 2 games. I had Dallas getting at least 1 or 2. I didn't have this being a sweep, but so it wouldn't surprise me if we come out of this and in 2 games, Dallas has gotten 2 games. But I suspect that Boston will probably get 1 of these on this Dallas home stretch.
I predicted that each team would lose at least 1 game on its home court. I'm sticking by my prediction. I still like the Mavericks in 6. Because
you like the Mavs in 6? Goodness gracious!
I like the Mavs in 6.
That was with the Porzingis playing?
No, that I said that be without Porzingis, but now that Porzingis is gone supposedly for the finals, I'm going to stick by that. I think
okay.
I just do not see the Celtics. I've watched them, and I know you have too, Reggie. For the last 3 years, they've gotten to the finals, and the last 3 years they've got their ass sent home, and somebody else has hoisted the trophy. So I'm going for consistency here. So what do you think, Dave? I know you're not a big basketball guy, but what do you think?
I just wonder if the passing of Jerry West is going to have any motivation. Jerry Mazzulla, he went to West Virginia University, and then he talked about what Jerry West meant to him. That was, and it's interesting. We're talking about the Lakers now. We're talking about Boston, but then there's a Jerry West connection between both. Jerry West was a great player with the Lakers, but he also went to Mazzulla's school, West Virginia University, and so they had a little bit of a relationship. And so for me, I don't know. I've seen some of these interviews that Mazzulla has been getting, and it doesn't seem like they're focused on the basketball series. They're focused on other things. But I'd like to see Boston take it, and especially with this, learning about this relationship between Jerry West and Mazzulla, because he was early on. He's no longer considered up there among the greatest of all time, but in his time, he was in that discussion. And of course, many, many better and much greater players have come since then, but he did a lot for the game of basketball, Jerry West. So for those reasons, I'm gonna for heartfelt reasons, I'm gonna go with Mazzulla in the Celtics.
Okay. Going back, to my youth and the black and white days of TV, watching Bill Russell and the Cousy and the Jones brother. Let somebody else get a championship. Nobody's gonna put 16 up there, I guess, in their rafters. But I mean, and I was never a flat Earth guy or a Luka Doncic guy, but me and Mark Cuban agree on politics, but I don't know about anything else. I can't go and put anything on his tab. So, but I'd like to see the Mavericks drop it off in 6. Just like I said, I think that the one thing about the Celtics is that they consistently choke in the finals.
Do you give them a credit for at least being there? Because Dallas before then, James was
What are we getting?
not
Are we
getting
giving out
the finals.
participation trophies now? Are we going to give the Cowboys?
I feel like you got to at least participate to win, and Dallas wasn't even participating. Dallas was watching them participate these last 3 years. I don't know if they got any better doing that. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, no, like I said, I mean, this to me, this just goes back to, I guess I don't want to say, well, yeah, Celtic hate. Okay, we'll just call it what it is. We'll just call it what it is.
At least you came clean with it. There's nothing wrong with that. Get that hate out your heart, James. Get it out your heart. Absolutely.
Other than the Lakers, the Celtics are the second. Are my second nemesis, So
you didn't like Red Auerbach puffing on those cigars?
Oh man, but could you imagine? You could barely see the court. On the TV, there was so much smoke. I would like to see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, he was puffing those things on the sidelines, man. You watch those old games,
and don't forget about the people in the audience. The only thing that was missing out of the Celtics arena was a cigarette girl. Out there, Lucky Strikes. But see, once again, I'm telling my damn age. Okay. All right, guys. Little college football here. We got Urban Myers, Nick Saban, and Aaron Donald. They're all on the college football ballot for the first time.
For college football, for Hall of Fame?
Yeah, College Football Hall of Fame.
Okay, gotcha.
Urban Myers, Nick Saban, and Aaron Donald.
So they don't have that waiting a certain amount of year situation that players have.
Well, I guess not. I'm assuming that. Aaron Donald hasn't been out of school that long. He has had 10 years in the NFL.
Well, it's just seen that Saban just stepped away, right?
Yeah,
Saban just stepped away. So I guess they don't have. I think with NFL players, it's like 4 or 5 years or something like that.
5 years in the NFL. For
5
the
years, okay.
And
I guess not so for these college football coaches. I guess it doesn't matter.
Evidently, it's only Nick's only been out 1 year.
About a year, yeah.
Not even a year.
Not even.
Yeah.
The year starting. He's starting a year.
Yeah, they haven't even started the year yet. So, Dave, what do you think? Are all three get elected? 2, 3? What do you think?
Well, between Nick Saban and Urban Meyer, Saban he's number 5 on the all-time wins list with 297. He's helped coach 45 All-Americans and 7 national championships. Urban Meyer is tied for 28th in all-time wins with 187. Or 197, I think. Still a lot of wins. Had 13 All-Americans and 3 national championships. So if you had to choose between the two, I think Nick Saban way before Urban Meyer. But Urban Meyer still has a very impressive resume. For Aaron Donald, it comes down, he had the one huge giant year, 2013. He first team All-American. He won in that same year. He won the Lombardi Trophy as the best overall lineman, the Outland Trophy as the best interior lineman, the Chuck Bednarik Trophy for Defensive Player of the Year, and the Bronco Nagurski Trophy for also for Defensive Player of the Year. Which I find that funny because I always remember Bronco Nagurski as a big fullback, but he played both ways. Back when he played, he was probably an awesome defender too. But I remember him as a fullback. But he had that one giant year. So between the 3 of them, if there was one that I would drop off and getting elected in their first year, it would be Aaron Donald. Because he had that one huge year, but he wasn't like a 2 or 3 time All-American. He was a 1-time All-American, and he had that giant year in 2013. So the way I rank them is I have a Saban, I would say, is a shoe-in. Urban Meyer is a maybe. Aaron Donald, I think, would have to wait. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's all we're asking for. That's what do you say, Reg? You or you got it a different way?
No. Well, I'm not objective when it comes to Saban. So I mean, Saint Saban is definitely number one on this list by a million miles. But they're
Not just
all
one, a million. Okay,
a million miles, absolutely. I feel like they're all deserving, though. I feel like this is kind of like splitting hairs to me. I feel like they're going to, at a certain time, some of these players, it's just a matter of time. And then some you have a thought of whether they're going to get in at all, and then with others, just like maybe this year, maybe next year, just a matter of time before you do get in here. And I don't want to like hijack your show or anything here, James, but I want to know, did we already, because I don't know if I'm going to be on when we get to the Caitlin Clark segment.
I'm going to go to that. I'm going to go to that next.
Okay, all right. Good. I want to go on my Caitlin Clark rant. I just wanted to make sure that I was on to give my rant before I got off.
Okay. Yes, we'll cover that next. As a matter of fact, I'll even let you lead it off.
Oh man, very nice.
Because I have a couple theories here, or I guess I won't exactly call it a rant, but
I don't think mine is a rant either. It'd be a short rant. It's not really a rant. It's more like statements than rants. I don't want to get people ready for a rant. It's not incoming.
Well, I have some very okay. Well, first of all, we have one player, coach, saying that the Olympic thing was they did not want to, how did she put it, commercialize the Olympics by using Caitlin Clark. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was one. The second is the WNBA has more watches during this period that she has been in the WNBA than they have probably during the combined seasons of the WNBA.
Good.
So I can understand why the WNBA would definitely have a problem with her going to the Olympics when they are benefiting so much from the publicity that she's giving, that they're getting, be it bad or good. The Olympics, she's a rookie. She has plenty of time, to get into the Olympics. I think right now her team would like to get out of last place. I think they only have one victory. So, I think they're the youngest team in the WNBA. And, I think they would like to get their feet wet. So I think that the Olympics would be a distraction. And I'm kind of leaning toward, I guess I want to say common sense, that she should stay with the NBA. After all, she's making less money in the NBA than she made in college. Why jeopardize that? But floor is yours, Reg.
Well, I've kind of seen this both ways. Just to be anticlimactic here, if you're expecting me to come down hard on one side or the other, I'm definitely not going to do that, because I've seen both sides of the argument. I feel like good arguments are made when you can see sense in both sides of the argument. So the argument for her to go is pretty simple. She's the most popular player, and it'll bring a certain amount of eyeballs to people that see to see her on the world's biggest stage, so to speak. And I get why people are saying, from a marketing perspective, she is a marketing Olympian, I guess, if you want to do it in that phrase. Like, she's definitely going to bring more eyeballs to the screen than any of the people that are on the team. So that's the factor of her going that I do get from a marketing perspective. The factor of her staying home that I totally get is she's just not one of the best 12 players. And it's just as simple as that. Like, it's not even close. Like, she's not one of the 12 best players. And as us fans who sit around, and at least I'm gonna only speak for myself, because I'm only watching Caitlin Clark games for the most part, like 99% of the time. If I'm watching WNBA, 99.9% of the time. If I'm watching WNBA game, Caitlin Clark is playing. So I'm one of the people that watches just because she's playing, but I'm not a WNBA player. I didn't spend all my life trying to get this Olympic spot. I didn't spend all my life working hard, putting time in the gym, growing up playing basketball, doing all this stuff to try to earn this Olympic spot, to just see somebody else just have it handed to them because they're popular. So I can get why that would, from a competitor standpoint, they just want to see her come out and earn it. And all these people, when you, like, even in the men's game, in Olympic play, these guys play like 5 minutes a game. That's another thing too. Caitlin Clark would not be out there getting in 15, 20-minute games in the Olympics. She'd be playing for a few minutes, maybe sitting on a bench, which I still feel will bring a certain amount of eyeballs to the screen, more so than what would be there. But I kind of get why they would not bring her on the basketball part, because she's just not one of the 12 best players. That's it for me.
Dave?
Well, I'm kind of like with Reggie. I see this two different ways. One, the whole thing about over commercialization, please. We had the
who cares about that? What company says over commercialization?
We had the dream team back in the day. And and one of the things is that the reason that NBA players and WNBA players are playing in the Olympics now is because the USA got embarrassed. They got beat.
Yes.
Okay. And it used to be that it wasn't the best players in America that played. It was the best amateur players, and they were usually college players that played.
They were college players, I believe. I don't believe we had Olympics with any professional players.
Correct.
I think was the Dream Team the first one?
Yeah, the Dream Team, I believe, was the first one, because that was the first Olympics that we had lost. Everyone before that, we had a gold medal.
Yeah, and so I was actually in Barcelona whenever they came to Barcelona for the Barcelona Olympics. That was pretty cool. But I've got to say, so the whole thing, any argument about the exposure, the thing, is on the one hand, for the NBA, they're going to benefit with Caitlin being on the American team if she in any way contributes to the team winning a gold medal. That just helps the WNBA. Now, her not playing, it doesn't hurt the WNBA. I think that they could only benefit by her being on the team. And, but at the end of the day, I kind of go with, well, who are the best 12 players? Not necessarily the 12 best individual players, but who are the 12 best players that form the best team? Because one of the problems with some of the more the men's Olympic teams in the past is sometimes they struggled because you had a lot of name players and they weren't necessarily a good team. And some of these European teams gave them a run for their money. And so to me, I would like to see what 12 players form the best team. And it's not necessarily the 12 best individual players. Because, maybe you got like your 10 greatest players are all forwards. Well, you need guards, you need other roles to make a good team. So I can kind of see it both ways. But hey, they had a committee that's making the decision. Just better bring home the gold, because if they don't win the gold, we haven't heard the last of that. If they don't win.
Not at all.
It'll be another Rory McIlroy situation. Yeah, you damn well better bring home the gold. You're right. But it should be very interesting. Like I said, I'm bringing on a couple of the girls and see how they feel. But Reggie, I know you say that you might not be on that long, so I'm going to get a couple of things out of the way right quick here. Let's see. Switching to football here, Reg. Olympic great Dominic Dawes joins the Falcons ownership group.
Always
Uh,
nice to see.
B. John says he wants more of a McCarthy type. I mean, excuse me, McCaffrey type usage in the Falcons offense. And the Falcons seem to be facing the same old problems on D. Reg, tell us
Yeah,
what's
man.
going on.
Same song and dance from a defense standpoint. I mean, this is every year with us. Certain teams have certain things worked out, and I feel like if I could just merge my teams, if I go with my Steelers, I feel like we always got the defense worked out. We always got the defense worked out. I feel like we're always gonna be decent, but then we might struggle then on the offense depending on what offensive pieces are there. My Falcons, I feel like it's the exact opposite problem. Oh, we're gonna score points, but the problem is the other team's gonna score more points. And we've had trouble stopping them going back to 28-3. We were up with a lead. The defense is the one who couldn't stop Brady from scoring all those points in a row. So we had a lower placed defense that year that we were in the Super Bowl. That seems to be the tell of the tape for us. We were able to kind of chip into that top 10, 15, I think last year. We made some strides there, but we lost some players on defense. So we got to see how that's going to look on paper. That's one of the reasons why people didn't want us to draft Penix, and they were hoping we would take a linebacker or something like that in that spot. I guess we'll see. With Bijan and the McCaffrey type usage is what we were hoping for when we got him out of Texas. When you look at his Texas tape, he's got great hands. He can catch the ball. He's good in open space, make you miss, can run you over. So, of course, we're all hoping for McCaffrey. Like, what team, what fan base isn't hoping for McCaffrey type usage from their running back? Like, all of us want McCaffrey type usage from the running backs on our respective teams. And I think that he has the skill set to do it.
Talent also.
I mean, he has a skill set. He has a skill set that accommodates that. So I'm looking forward to that being the guy that we drafted in that top 10.
Okay. All right. Dave, looks like it's going to be the end of the chain gang, man. They're talking about using different technology to signal the 1st and 10 marker. What's your thoughts there, Dave? For me, it's about goddamn time, but I mean,
Yeah, 21st century, man. Yeah. They talk about a game of inches, and then they kind of use this, really antiquated system of marking the first downs. And then, you think about what they could probably do in the future, in addition just to marking the ball, but is also determining, hey, if you have a running back right at the goal line, did the ball cross the goal line or not? Because usually the referees have a hard time seeing it inside that jumble. So that's something that maybe eventually they'll be able to do, because I imagine that there has to be something with the ball where they're able to determine how far up the field
they're going to put a chip in the ball or something. I mean,
right. So I'm for it. I think that the big thing is run it through the preseason. What they should have done is they should have used it first in preseason games a year prior, and then worked out the kinks, determine what are the kinks, instead of, hey, we're going to go to this new technology during the season. And then if there's some unanticipated problems, well, now you got to work it out. I think that's what they should use the preseason for, the year prior. Say, okay, we're going to try this technology. And maybe they have, and I'm unaware of it. But I'm anxious to see how it works.
What do you think, Reg?
I think it's funny. That you can have Surface Pros on the sideline. The juxtaposition of the Surface Pros being used on the sidelines, and then guys running around with 2 sticks and a chain on the other side. Like when you juxtapose those 2 images on the same screen, it's like one side is in the 70s here or so. They're doing pretty much the same thing they were doing back then. And then you got one side here that's using tablets and stuff like that. They're getting thrown around on the sidelines there. So it's interesting. I don't know what this means for the game. I don't know if the game is going to change 100% or a massive percentage either way. But I would like to see this tested out in preseason so we can kind of get it fleshed out a little bit and just get acclimated and see what they would use. I'm not sure what they would go to. It'd be interesting to see what they come up with.
Okay. 49ers said that they would give wide receiver Ayuk 26 mil. Ayuk says he wants something a little closer to St. Brown money. And that's 28. So we're talking about $2 million here, roughly. So Reggie, will Ayuk get his bag or will he play under his 5-year option?
It's interesting because it's hard to see either party walking away from this deal for less than 10% differential here. Like that, it's not a huge differential. So it'd be interesting. Either you want to play there or you don't. I don't feel like the 2 million would move you massively one way or the other. If I'm on a 49ers side, I mean, I personally don't think Brandon Ayuk is as good as St. Brown. I don't think that he's as good of a receiver. So I don't necessarily see that as a comp. You know, if you're 2 million with a 2 million of a St. Brown, I think that's about right. And that's pricing wise about where I think that's very fair. My takeaway will be if the deal gets blown up over this $2 million, whoever blows the deal up never wanted a deal to begin with, because it doesn't seem like a lot to blow the whole deal up for.
I think what Ayuk is really looking for here is guaranteed upfront money.
Like a new contract altogether. Yeah. You're just trying to work your way into a total new deal.
Yeah. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I think you hit on something there because I think it all depends on what San Francisco's cap situation is. You know, they might be fine for this year, but what about next year? And then the year after, and you got Deebo Samuel too, and so I think depending on the conditions of the contract, if they're asking for a lot of guaranteed money, well, that might impact how much of a cap hit there is earlier in the contract period, and that might be what the sticking point is. And to me, I think that San Francisco, if they don't get him to sign for 26 or 27 million, they just might have him play out his 5-year option.
Yeah, that's actually the alternative.
Yeah,
I see Mr. Hayes and Mr. Scott is here tonight. How you doing, guys?
What's up, fellas?
All right. Don, how you doing? Let's see. No, he's not muted. Well, we'll get Mr. Scott. We were just talking about Brandon Ayuk and his deal with the 49ers. He's holding out, of course. The 49ers offered him 26 mil. He says he wants closer to that guy in Detroit's money. He wants closer to 28. What do you think, Mr. Scott? Are we going to see Ayuk get his bag, or is he going to play on that 5th-year option?
Yeah, he should take the money and run. I mean, I don't understand these guys. You know, you take the money, you have a good year, you'll get more money. So I don't know what he expects to gain. I mean, holding out. A lot of people seem like they don't like to go to training camp anymore. They don't like to go to OTAs. They don't like to do the work before but they want the bag. So we'll see. He's got a good thing going with San Francisco, and it's I think he's not a Jefferson. Okay, he's not. You're not Jefferson. Okay, you're just one of the guys.
Well, he didn't ask for Jefferson money. He just asked for that guy in Detroit's money. He didn't ask for Jefferson money yet. I mean, which Don, can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay. There we go. Yes, we can hear you. What do you think, Don? Is Ayuk going to get? Is he going to get paid, or is he going to play on that 5th-year option?
I don't know. I would assume he's going to get paid just because of the kind of player he is, but you never know how these situations work out. if it were me, I'd give him his money, but that's just me.
Well, you guys in Texas like to give away that money down there. I don't know. So let's see. Let's go down to the next guy here, and let's. I got to get you guys' take on this. Don, the NFL says it's getting rid of the chain gang. They're going to start using a different technology to measure that first down. Don, what do you think? About time or what?
Well, I hope they've done the beta test on all this first, before they start doing it. I always think the change bring a little bit of excitement to the game. When they bring it out, they stretch it, they're like fourth and this or whatever. I always enjoy that for some reason. Maybe I'm on the spectrum. I don't know, but I always enjoyed that. But I know several years ago, Baylor. Yeah, several years ago, the Baylor Bears they were using the chainless markers. So I just wonder if it's an adaptation of that, what the Baylor was using in their home games. So we'll see. But I always like the chain games, but technology keeps improving. I just got back from vacation in Florida, Disney and all that, and when you go order food at Disney, everything is through the kiosk. You go and do a scan code, and you get the menu on your phone, and you order it, and you go pick it up. So they're eliminating a lot of the human elements to the service industry, and I think that's making its way to our sports franchises as well.
Yeah,
technology, 21st century, got to get going.
We already have some robot McDonald's out here already in California. Mr. Scott, what did you think about this new technology here, or the use of it?
Well, I don't know what the point of it is. Is it the point to save time? Is it something they can do quicker? Does it take that? That's what I mean. Some of these things are just kind of overkill to me. I mean, yeah, things change, technology changes, it improves, but I think that's kind of a minute. It hasn't been a problem with that so far. I mean, yeah, a guy doesn't make it, and they're a few inches. Yeah, they're mad. They say the spot was bad. They want to have the spot redone. I mean, so that's not going to change, I don't think. So, are they going to get perfection with that? Nobody's going to argue about it. It's going to be just accepted, and everybody walks away happy because it's the only way it is. That's the way it is. That's the grand poobah of things. I don't know. I'm not. They do it. I don't know what effect that would have on the game. So.
Okay. Well, I guess that's one of those wait and see moments here, and we'll eventually find out. Reggie, the Bills quarterback Josh Allen is tweaking his throwing motion to increase his throwing efficiency. What's your thoughts on this, Reggie?
I don't have any thoughts until I see how many passes you're actually completing. All this stuff that we hear people say in training camp, or doing this, or these players that you see that are never healthy in the regular season, but they're in the gym in the summer or in the shorts and they're running around and they're, we capture footage of them at practice and all this other stuff people say. You're completing passes or you're not. And that's really the only thing I care about. When you come out here, let's see if you're completing more passes and turning over the ball less than what you did last year. I mean, maybe I remember Jameis Winston said that he got LASIK last year and other stuff that people say. And it's just kind of like, you're either going to complete more passes or not. And I'm going to have to wait and see on this. See what that actually looks like.
Okay. Dave.
Yeah, I kind of checked that out, and it turns out this is nothing new. He's been doing this since 2020, and he works with a guy named Chris Hess with Big Metric, and this is where they're using this 3D film to analyze his throwing motion. But whenever he switched over to this method in 2020, he had a big increase from like 58% to like 68% pass completions.
That's significant.
and
Significantly
yeah,
larger
it was a big jump, and then it dropped a little bit. But he's had some injuries, and he's talking about they're using it to so he can evaluate how he can get a comfortable delivery and maintain his accuracy. So to me, it's number one, it's not new. It's he's been doing this since 2020. Uh, but it's kind of like golf. You know, golfers are constantly working on their swing. But if you overdo it, and then all of a sudden you can kind of just like lose it, and you know, like on your putting or something. And so as long as he doesn't try to recreate his whole throwing motion, I think it's a wise thing. I think all quarterbacks should be doing that. And I see it no differently than golf. You know, where you know the pros are constantly working on their swings, and they're the best of the best.
Okay. Let me see if Miss Cooper's here yet. Uh, no, I see her. Miss Cooper, are you there? No, I guess. Let's see. Don, what's your thought?
Well, my thing is, you know, you're a professional athlete. You want to take any steps you can to improve yourself, and so I'm all for that. You know, if he thinks his technique needs work, fine tune, that's fine. Just know it can be a double edged sword. A little cautionary tale: a guy named Vincent Young, quarterback at UT, got drafted by the Texans. I'm sorry, by the Titans. First 2 years, made Pro Bowl. Rookie year, he was tearing it up, and his coach, Norm Chow, said, "Hey, we need to work on your mechanics." And they did, and he went, "Dear." And 6 years later, he got the league. So, you know, sometimes you just got to leave well enough alone. You know, some guys, yeah, you know, you can fine tune whatever, but sometimes you just got to let Vince be Vince, you know, and you know, there are those tales where that happens, where you can overcoach, you know, try to overcorrect, and next thing you know, you're messing with the guy's mind, and you know, disaster happens. We had a pitcher in a Major League Baseball that all of a sudden couldn't find the strike zone. You know, it gets in your head, and so it took him years to get back in the rhythm. Thank God he did, but I can't remember his name. Bill, if Bill were here, Bill would tell you his first, last, and middle name.
First,
But,
last name, where you went to high school,
but
shoe
yeah, so
size.
yeah,
Uh,
dog's name, yeah.
is Alanya here? I see her.
She's on mute. Oh, there she is.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. And what about Lamina?
She was in here. I don't know if she got off. I don't see her.
It says her device is not connected. But I wanted to bring you two young ladies in to talk about the Caitlin Clark situation, talking about the Olympics and the WNBA. But let's find out a little bit about you young ladies. When did you start first talking about or picking up a basketball, Elena?
I started when I was a child. Elementary school, we used to have hoop shoots. So, well, besides playing at the park, I started like playing hoop shoots, a free throw contest. So that's kind of how I started. So elementary school.
Okay. And what led you to the Indianapolis Royals?
A teammate of mine told me how our coach was starting a pro team. We played together all our lives, almost ever since high school, and she asked me if I would want to join. So that's how I found out about the Indianapolis Royals.
Okay. And what position do you play? Where are you from? Huh, maybe we lost her. What position do you play? Where are you from? How tall are you? Alana? Oh, I guess we lost her again.
Well, I'll
Technical
comment on
difficulty.
your last question about changing mechanics. Years ago, the Twins had a really great second baseman named Chuck Knobloch, and then he went to the Yankees, and all of a sudden he had something called the yips.
The yips.
He
Yeah, there
was
we
the
go.
second baseman, and he couldn't
Yes.
throw the ball to first base. He couldn't throw the ball to first base. Now, how did he develop the yips? I don't know. I don't know if that's a diagnosable situation, but all of a sudden, this is something he's been doing all of his life. And all of a sudden, now he can't throw the ball from second base to first base. He couldn't make the throw.
Yeah, I think Steve Blass had the same thing happen to him, and it curtailed his career.
Yeah, it certainly did. Alanya, are you back?
Yes, I'm back. I was
No, there
getting
we
a
go.
call, so it took my
Uh,
sound away.
So, what position do you play? Where are you from?
I played guard, point guard, shooting guard. In college, I was more of a wing, a shooting guard, but now I'm working on point guard position. I'm from Terre Haute, Indiana. I played 3 years out of the 4 years in high school, and then I was a walk-on at Vincennes University.
Okay. I want to talk about this Caitlin Clark situation because it seems like women's basketball is getting more exposure than ever now. Uh,
Correct.
how do you guys feel about the influence of Miss Clark?
I think she's great. I think it's a great thing that she's has a big impact in exposing women's sports in general and basketball. I think it's a great thing.
Okay. So, what did you think
I
about
agree.
this thing about her being snubbed for the Olympics? Do you think it was a snub because, as some of our panelists said, she might not be, among the best 12 women's basketball players in the country? Or do you think it's because of the influence that she's having with the NBA, the WNBA?
I don't think it was a snug. Honestly, I think she's just fresh in the WNBA, and I think maybe like next she'll get the next opportunity. I don't think it was a snug. I'm not too sure, honestly, but I haven't really looked much into it. But I think that the Olympics have a great team with the people they picked.
Agreed.
Reggie, you want to ask Atlanta some questions?
Well, she kind of just touched on the one, and that was kind of like with all of the new eyeballs and stuff coming to the WNBA and women's basketball in general. Is there anything that you feel like people are getting wrong about the perception of the game, since there's so many new people coming to it?
Yeah, I think I don't I'm not too fond of how they're treating Caitlin. I don't like how they're almost like bullying her, and I feel
Mm.
it's a great impact on the WNBA. So I don't know what the hate's about, but it's just great. Not, I don't know. I don't. I think they
I got some breaking
he's
up here.
mean to her.
I think you're breaking up. Are you moving around or something?
No, I lament but my static.
Nah, uh, we couldn't hear your last comments there, but I see your teammate, Miss Cooper, is in. How you doing? I'm not going to butcher your name. I'm just going to ask you how you pronounce it.
Lamina.
No, man. Okay. Uh,
I would have almost had it. I was a Lamina. I was almost. Oh,
Yeah.
I wanted to jump out there so bad.
That's what
And try
everybody
it.
says when they try it.
All right. Okay.
so tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved in the game of basketball?
I've been playing basketball since I was 5. I started at the Y. Both my parents played in college. So yeah, play since I was little, and my whole family really was into sports and everything.
So, what position do you play? How tall are you?
I'm 5'9". I play small forward.
Okay. Okay. Where'd you go to school?
High
Or
school or college?
both? Whatever. If if you didn't go to college, how did you get? How did you get into the game?
So I went to high school at Lawrence North in Indianapolis, and then I went to Purdue. I wasn't able to finish, and so that's kind of like, to sum it all up. That's how I ended up on this team, to be able to play again.
So, what was your motivation?
To play again.
Yes.
I really have a passion for basketball. Being a big part of my life for so long. I just really love it. I coached a high school team this past season, and that really motivated me to want to play again.
Okay. Okay. And you mentioned that you coached high school. So, how did you get into coaching?
Um, I just like watching, like when I was watching games with one of my cousins, I was just talking about the game and the plays and stuff like that. He was like, "You would be really good at coaching," and people have always said that to me. And I was like, "No, I don't think I want to coach." But I finally was like, I might as well try it and see how it would be, just to see a different perspective of the basketball game.
Okay. Dave, you have some questions for Miss Cooper?
Yeah. Now, I mean, do you want to play overseas? And if so, where would you want to play and why?
I do want to play overseas. I don't have a specific place I want to play. Just to get the opportunity would be great for me. I do have a friend that plays overseas. We played at Purdue together. So if we ever got the chance to play again, we talk about that a lot. Like if we ever got a chance to play again, that would be great, because we didn't get a chance to play, see our full potential playing together at Purdue.
And where's your friend at?
Where's she at right now? Right now she's recovering because she hurt her knee. So right now she's recovering in Georgia, just training and coaching as well. So she's not playing right now.
Okay. Well, I hope she gets better soon. But good luck. And well, I think it was Coach Anderson gave a guarantee. Did you guys win your last game against? Was that the other Indianapolis team?
Oh, I didn't play last season. This is my first season.
I think they played on the 15th, isn't it? Isn't
Yeah,
your first game on the
it's
15th?
supposed to be like
Our first game, yeah, against the Indianapolis Wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on the 15th, right?
Yep, this Saturday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. They haven't played.
Oh, they haven't played yet. Okay.
No, we haven't.
Don, you have any questions for Ms. Cooper?
Well, I was just going to ask, I guess, both of them. And I've always wondered this. So the game in the United States as compared to international, like in Europe, or I think they even play some they play in the Middle East. I know Israel has some teams. So do y'all have an idea what the difference is between, like the crowds, maybe the competitive level between the international and American version of women's basketball?
As far as the fans?
Well, the overall, the fans, attendance, of course, but, just the general differences between the two. I know in Europe, in the men's game, the refs tend to be a little bit more tight with the fouls, you know what I'm saying? They actually call traveling in Europe, which they don't do in the NBA.
Right. As far as like the playing overseas, I think that the rules are definitely different over there. So I think it takes a while to get adjusted to them and get used to those. I know that I've heard of some people saying that they've won championships overseas and that the fans really appreciate it, and they really love that team or those players on the team that won them that championship.
Me personally, if I think about overseas, I have a couple of friends that played overseas, like men. I know they pay. The only thing I could say is they pay good overseas. I've been told that they pay better overseas, playing overseas, than here in America. But I'm not too familiar with like the difference in the style of play.
Mr. Scott, you played a little hoops back in your day. You got some questions for the young ladies?
Well, yeah, I've always been curious as to how players get to these overseas teams. Is it a matter of, do you have to have an agent? Do you have to have? I mean, do they do scouting over here and scout film and look for players? I always wondered about that because my son played with a guy. It was like a 6'5" center at this school, Tartan, Eric Coleman. And he had a huge wrap on his knee. I mean, from the time he was a freshman until he graduated. And I just caught a snippet of him once on an ESPN. They were just showing some random basketball. And there he was. This is like 10, 12 years later. And he still had the big wrap on his knee. And he was playing center at 6'5", 6'4". So it seems like there's a lot of opportunity, but I just wonder how you get connected with that. I've always been kind of curious about that. If you have any idea.
Yeah, they do say like it helps to have an agent and also to play at least like if you didn't play in college to play semi-pro so that they can see footage or film of you playing in the potential position that you would play in overseas.
Do you have an agent, or are you thinking about, or I don't know how that works? Or...
I will say the league we play for right now, the leader of the league gives us the opportunity where she can send us overseas if that's something we want to do. So us playing for the Indianapolis Royals and being part of this league, we can get the opportunity of playing overseas. I do know that.
Great. And good luck.
Thank you.
Reggie, I know you have to go in a minute, so would you like to have some questions for these young ladies before you leave?
Sure, it'll be the same question that I asked the other player, and I'll ask it to her here since she's here now. And that's just since you see all the new eyeballs that are coming to WNBA and coming to women's basketball in general, what are some of the misconceptions that kind of just drive you crazy about people that are just now seeing the game? I know that what happened with the Caitlin Clark foul and with some of the other situations with us now seeing the physical nature. Some women's basketball players who come out and saying the league's been physical like this. It's just new eyeballs just now seeing that physicality. Is there stuff like that people are just getting wrong from your perspective?
I would agree with you. There was definitely a clip that somebody brought up of when Candace Parker first got into the league her rookie year, and one of the girls kind of threw her to the ground, and it caused a whole fight and everything like that. So like you're saying, the physicality has been a part of the women's basketball for a while now.
Red, you want to give us some final thoughts before you go?
Yeah, man. My final thoughts is hoping that Boston gets this done. Jaylen Brown went to my high school. I have no objectivity here for ATL status. I'm hoping that he brings that chip home to Atlanta. And that's about it.
Go
more so go Jaylen Brown there than anything.
All right, hey, don't forget my Celtic hate. But anyway, that's it.
I got you. Have a good night, guys.
Take care, Reggie.
All right.
Yeah.
Good seeing you.
So, I guess
Reggie's becoming somewhat Demetrius-like in that I wanted to ask him about some Kirk Cousins. I wanted to really dive into that. He seems to always have to go when when that seems to be coming around. So maybe next time.
Mr. Scott, this is Mr. Washington. He's the better known as Dub, Coach Dub. He coaches the Royals. and he can answer some of those questions that you had as far as how they get overseas, because he has a sports company. Was it Washington Sports, I believe?
Washington Worldwide Sports.
Yeah, yeah. So you can kind of tell Mr. Scott how you get your players overseas.
All right. So, far as drink this water real quick. Sorry about that. We had a conference call right before this. But now how it works, being part of the IPWBL, we have the women coming to the team. As far as they come to Indianapolis Royals, they play a full season. And as far as after the season, the league is owned by an agency, Ladies First Sports Agency. As far as now they have game film. Since they have game film, now Ladies First Sports Agency can market them. So now there's different places that country they can market to. Also, they do tours as well with the league. So say they get done playing with us, right? Like example, this year, I forgot what country we go to. The middle of our season, we have a break. There's a tour. So they have the option to go on this tour during the season. But the tours are all year round. What I'm trying to do with the Royals, I'm trying to do my own tours as well. So after our season, it'll probably be next year, I have a tour for September. So now when we go overseas, we play in a tour. Now we have game film of a full season. They can see what they can and can't do. And now when they go to the tour, they actually see him in person. They can put it together. They can offer him a contract. But the biggest thing going overseas, you have representation as far as people have to speak for it. You have to be a referral. You can't just go over there. Yeah, I wish you could, but the same thing like on the man's side, it's kind of hard on the women's side because it's so many women, but it's lesser jobs, right? But when you go to different countries, there's more jobs. But most people don't know. You might even go to Australia, or you go over here to Belize and be the superstar over here, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Coach, I know your first game is on the 15th, and so far we've met 4 of your players, so you got 6 more to bring up here now. You know,
Okay, they're going to be here next Wednesday. I got you. All right, told them in practice. Already got it covered. Every Wednesday, 9 p.m., be ready, 9 to 10.
All right. So I wanted to get your opinion here, Ms. Cooper, before we let you go. What did you think about the whole Caitlin Clark thing? The Olympics versus the Olympic so-called snub. Do you think that it's better for the WNBA that she stays over, or what?
I don't know if it was a snub because there's other players I know about. Arike on the Dallas Wings, who's done really good. She's averaged, I want to say, like 25 points a game. That was I feel like that was more of a snub than anything for the Olympics.
Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, we intend to get more of your teammates on and every weekend. But tell us your final thoughts, and we look forward to having you back soon also.
Yeah. I'm just excited to see what our team shows that we've been working on this Saturday, and just the teamwork and the team chemistry that we have in the game, and just working through anything that we haven't seen yet or thought about. So, yeah.
All right. Well, hey, we want to thank you for coming on with us tonight. We know everybody's in different time zones, so we appreciate your time.
Yeah. Finish strong on Saturday. Finish strong.
Thank you.
No matter what.
All right.
Coach, what time do you play Saturday?
We play at 3 p.m. And then we have our first home game next week. We play at 6 p.m.
Well, what about a post-game interview?
We can do Instagram Live interview if you want. Nah, that's fine. Also, you can watch our games on Instagram Live, and also on the league page, IPWBL. It'll be on YouTube. But I can do a post-game interview probably around 3, 5, like 6:30 or 7. I should be free.
Your time or mine?
My time.
Okay, 6:30 or 7, so that's 4 o'clock my time.
Yep.
All right. We got a date. I'll see you post-game.
All right, so, appreciate
it. And I'm going to show the scoreboard now. So
you got to. I'm going to show it before you. I got to. I'm going to do it at halftime. I got to mark it, man. I've been talking crazy. I'll let you. We have a conference call It was like once a month. Now it's been every week. I've been talking crazy since January. I am ready for Saturday. So after the game results, I ain't gonna speak it out. But after that happens, I can talk more. So I love.
I wanted to ask. It's 2 Indianapolis teams. Do you have like some type of a cup or something that you exchange?
Also rivalry. We're gonna start that. We call it a rivalry game because both the gyms we have is on the west side. So I put a postcard to battle who wins the west side of Indianapolis. So now it's a rivalry. Right. So.
Okay, so
and then the top 4 teams go to the playoffs.
Okay, so we're gonna have a little cup, a Indy Cup or something there, little brown.
I'll have a whole necklace. No.
All right, Coach. I'll see you Saturday.
All right, see y'all Saturday.
Take care.
Take care. All right, appreciate it.
Good luck, Coach.
I wanted to say, on the Caitlin Clark thing, just briefly. She's probably somewhat exhausted. I mean, from the college coming into the pros, all that. But when you look at the Olympics, I remember a guy that was on the Timberwolves early on. He got elected and he was still in college. Christian Leitner. So in other words, they can pick, they don't have to have pros. It doesn't have to be, and in this case, it could be a matter of who would you leave out? I mean, would you leave Taurasi out? Would you leave Reiner out? So I think it would have been a good gesture if she wanted to. And it doesn't seem like this was a big deal. And I think she probably can see what happened, and have many other opportunities along the way.
Well, just from an outsider looking in, because I have no clue about the WNBA until just recently. But the question is, I think they carry 15 on a roster, correct? Olympic roster.
I think that's the men's. I think the women carry 10.
10? Okay. Well, whatever number, you have to ask yourself, is she – let's say it's 10. Is she a top 10 player in her profession? If she is, she belongs on the roster. But again, there's probably some other stuff in there, it's all about chemistry. And if these other girls are have issues with her for whatever reason, that's something I guess you have to consider. But here's my thing about Caitlin Clark, and I was going to use this as my final thoughts, but I'm going to go ahead and do it now since we're talking about Caitlin Clark. They've been talking about the Caitlin Clark effect. So when she goes into an arena, that arena becomes when she plays in an arena, that arena sells out. I mean, she puts butts in seats, right? And those butts and seats all pay tickets. And those people buying tickets, they buy concessions, popcorn, peanuts, soda, beer, hot dogs, whatever, pretzels. And then they buy merchandise. So whenever Caitlin Clark shows up at home or away arena, it has an economic impact. And the economic impact affects the other players because the WNBA does not pay their players like the NBA just because the market doesn't call for it. But if the franchises are earning more money, that money is end up eventually in the players' wallets, correct? You would think. They're talking about, Caitlin Clark's teams now are able to take a private plane instead of just, a regular airline. So I'm thinking, why would you not want to have Caitlin Clark around? If she were on the Olympic team, the ratings, NBC's carrying Olympics, right? Again, NBC. Whoever it is.
But women's basketball is at midnight, Don.
It doesn't matter. Because if Caitlin Clark's playing, people who normally aren't watching are going to watch just because of all the hoopla. So that's my point. I was looking forward to, I'll watch some women's basketball. Why not? When Olympics on, I watch Olympics anyway. I love watching track and field. I love watching swimming. I love that shit. But we'll watch some women play basketball.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that thin line. Now, like you said, is she among the top 10? I think it's 10 and 2 alternates. Is she among the top 12 women's basketball players? then I see no need. I mean, I have no problem with her being there.
Well, Christian Laettner wasn't one of the top people.
Yeah,
I mean, he was still in college, and they
but
decided.
Christian Laettner played. If I'm correct, Christian Laettner played on the Dream Team. Wasn't he the only college player there?
He played on the Dream Team. You're
Right,
absolutely right.
and nobody came to see Christian Laettner play.
The selection process,
where-
the selection, they could have put her on. I mean, they could have.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not sure whether it's because they think that she'll do more, profit to the WNBA, but I do agree with whether if she steps on the court, there's going to be a cameraman, and
Definitely.
so
which will help the WNBA.
Well, I mean, it already has. I mean, just look at what how much the TV ratings are up when you compare it to just last year. So
kind of probably not a fair comparison, but kind of related. When the Spurs drafted Wemby, I mean, people started going back to Spurs because the Spurs attendance sucked.
Yeah,
but Wemby comes in, it went up like 40% attendance, and so we actually sold out the arena a few times. So when you have a star player on your team, it affects everybody in a positive way. You might hate the guy, he might be an asshole. You just never know.
Mike,
but people will come.
Mike, good example.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's get back to some football here. I'm going to start with you here, Dave. Texans wide receiver Stephon Diggs says that the move to the Texans was like a breath of fresh air. But Dave, haven't we heard this song before when he took his ass to Buffalo?
Yeah, I can't wait to hear from Anthony on this one because he, I guess, recently took some digs at Minnesota. I guess alluding that they had nefarious reasons for trading him to Buffalo. I don't know what they could do, but then he's like saying he has a great relationship with Josh Allen, although there was also reports that he wasn't getting along with the Buffalo. But from the reports, you're saying that he and C.J. Stroud are buddying up, and here's the thing: is the bottom line is he going to produce? Is he going to catch passes, score touchdowns, gain yards? It's going to be interesting. I don't know if I have not discerned whether there's a method to his madness, but I just don't get this all of a sudden talking about 2 teams ago about some nefarious reason that they traded him to Buffalo.
Yeah, and I think he's not making Jefferson money either. Mr. Scott, what's the deal there? Give us the skinny here.
Well, Stephon Diggs is becoming the flat earth of football, basically. If you ask me, I mean, this is, he for some reason, he comes in, there's a quick honeymoon, and, if he doesn't win, he begins to sulk. And then, he's played a few years now, and he's not that big of a physically imposing type of a receiver. I mean, he's, somewhat almost diminutive. And so, I mean, to me, he's become kind of like the flat earth Uncle Drew of football. So I'm curious to see how it works out too. I think it's going to be very interesting. I don't know that they're going to be happy that they got him, but we'll see. I mean, just like flat earth. I mean, he comes in and decides he wants to play against us. He don't want to play against nobody. Then he decides he wants to play against us. So, we'll see.
What do you think there, Don?
The fact that he's coming to the Texans, I'm cheering for him. But I do agree with Anthony. He does have some issues. But, if you want a breath of fresh air, well, don't breathe too deep in Houston because the air there sucks. The air quality is terrible. All those petrochemical plants, it smells like sulfur. But, if you get a fresh start and, the Texans are a team that's, they're on the upswing. More power to him. I'll withhold my judgment until I see him play a few games. But I'm cautiously optimistic for, the Texans this year, and hopefully he doesn't, throw the monkey wrench in the machinery. So we'll see.
Okay. Mr. Scott, who will have the most TD passes? Caleb Williams or J.J. McCarthy?
A trick question. Well, I think Caleb Williams, because he's going to come in basically as the starter. I mean, so that should be a foregone conclusion. I don't really think they want to play the guy, here in Minnesota. I think that would only happen if the other guy just breaks down or he's totally ineffective. Then yeah, but other than that, they'd like him to sit, learn. Hopefully, Sam Darnold. I mean, yeah, was he a top 3 pick or something years back? And sometimes these guys, moving around to a different environment for whatever reason, and he's young enough. If he really wants to do it, he's got to have a good team around him. So yeah. But in regards to the question, I think the Bears, they've thrown their thing to that quarterback, and he'll have the most. He'll be a starter. So.
Well, then, let me ask you part 2 of this then, Mr. Scott. Now that Jefferson has gotten paid, when do you see we will see the first regular season JJ to JJ touchdown reception?
Another trick question. I don't. Like I say, I just don't think that they want to play him. I really don't. And it's just going to have to be a kind of a breakdown. The team starts off bad, and maybe the quarterback gets hurt. But it's going to have to be one of those type of deals that I see before they play him. As long as they can stay competitive with him, they'll roll with him. Of course, unless Jefferson gets upset when you get that kind of bag, he's going to have a lot of say in who's, what's going on. So there's a lot of moving parts there. So we'll have to see how that goes.
I think with that bag, Jefferson wants somebody to throw in some touchdown passes.
Yes, I think so too.
I'm just saying, what do you think there, Dave?
Yeah, originally I was going to say J.J. McCarthy, but then the coach came out and said that Sam Darnold is the starter, that J.J. McCarthy's behind Sam Darnold. So I have to go with Caleb Williams, because who else do the Bears have to throw the ball? And so I'm going to go with Caleb Williams on that. But I will say that, Sam Darnold, he's had a couple seasons where he's gone out injured. So, there's a chance that McCarthy, whether they want to play him or not, they might have to, if Darnold gets knocked out of the game. So.
Don, what's your thoughts on this? Caleb Williams could be another Anthony Richardson, 3 or 4 games and out, everybody's alluded to, Sam Darnold's not the healthiest guy in the world. So what's your thoughts on this?
I think Caleb Williams will be the next RG3. That's my gut. But
now the good RG3 or the bad RG3? Because there's 2 versions of RG3 now.
The one that lasted 3 years in the league.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the one that the Shanahans played hurt and then threw him under the bus as a rookie.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but
that RG3.
So, last time I was on the show before I went on vacation, I alluded to the fact that Caleb Williams was doing a little 7-on-7 and threw like 5 straight interceptions. So he'll have more touchdown passes than McCarthy, but he'll also have more interceptions. That's the double-edged sword on that one. And okay. I think in the long run, I think McCarthy's going to be probably have a little bit more longevity in the league, a little bit longer career. I don't know. I just Caleb Williams, I'm not sold on him. I'm just not. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit it. But I'm not I'm not on that bandwagon just yet.
Well, Don, it's interesting. We're going to keep talking about Texas because last week C.J. Stroud got on ayahuasca. This week, he's talking about the Cowboys. The first thing he said in the interview was, I don't play for them weak-ass Cowboys. And when asked to name his top 5 quarterbacks for the 2023 season, he said Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, himself, then Dak, and then Hurts. Don, it might also, the Texans and the Cowboys do play on Monday Night Football. But what's your thoughts here, Don? Who wins that game?
Between the Texans and Cowboys,
It's a Monday night game.
I'm going to say I'm going to go Texans on the upset, Brock upset.
Okay, so
however,
what'd you think about his remarks about the Cowboys? Weak ass Cowboys. Ooh, wow.
Well, he's not wrong. I mean, it's kind of a brutal thing to say, but I mean, sometimes you got to speak that truth to power, I guess. But he, I mean, he's saying what everyone else is thinking, so you have that. But I can't believe you left Brock Purdy out of that because Brock Purdy's a cold-blooded assassin. He just doesn't come across that way. But that kid, Mr. Irrelevant, that's got to be watched out for.
Yeah, I think we're going to be talking about him next week because I'm pretty sure when we start talking about who those final wide receivers are for the 49ers, he's going to have something to say about that. What did you think about that, Mr. Scott? Weak ass Cowboys. He's number 3. Dak's number 4. I mean, are the Texans that good, or is CJ? I mean, hey, he made the playoffs last year. He's definitely walking the walk.
Yeah, he is, and that's what makes rivalries. The talk. That's what makes rivalries. They're in state, and I look forward to that. I mean, Stroud's a young guy. Their team is up and coming. I mean, I enjoyed them last year. And the Cowboys, they're somewhat suspect. If there was a heavyweight, their chin very suspect. So. Yeah, I think it makes for a great rivalry. I mean, I think that he has confidence. This is what football is about. You come in and you hit people in the mouth. And we think we're better. And that's the end of our statement. We think we're better. So we'll see.
What do you think there, Dave?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a packed stadium, that Monday night game. And he's feeling his oats. He had a great season, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, like you say, if he can walk the talk, well, all the power to him. But he better own up to it.
Hey, we'll see. Dave, Mr. Scott, you might want to close your ears here because we're going to talk about your favorite coach, Mr. Mike Tomlin. He got a 3-year extension. And Damian Woody says, Dave's going to tell you why. Damian Woody says that Justin Fields can't afford to be a backup quarterback, Dave. And the NFL Network calls the Steelers' new safety, Deshaun Elliott, the most underappreciated player on the squad. What's your thoughts on these things, Dave?
Yeah, I'll Mike Tomlin first. I mean, hey, Art Rooney II said way back in December or January that he was going to sign him to an extension. So it's no surprise. It was just a matter of when and how long. 3-year contract sounds, very reasonable. The players have really come out enthusiastically supporting it, in social media. And I think that that's a big key, because in today's game, it's not like the NFL in the 70s where the team controlled the player's destiny. Teams controlled where players went. Now with the free agency, and as it becomes progressively looser, players have more and more control of where they go to after their contracts. And the thing with Mike Tomlin is players want to play for him. And Patrick Queen, I mean, he basically dissed the Baltimore team, saying he's where he needs to be in Pittsburgh, and that's Mike Tomlin. It's not Omar Khan's a great general manager, Rooney's are great owners, but that's not what is attracting these players to Pittsburgh. It's Mike Tomlin. So I think that the 3-year contract is a reasonable amount. It's not 5 years. He's got 3 years to kind of write it out, and then we'll see where it's at. In terms of Damian Woody's comments about Justin Fields, he might have a point, but really, here's the thing: is for Justin Fields, is if he doesn't play, then he's not going to gain any market value. So right now, his market value is what it is. He might actually be best served if Pittsburgh were to sign him to a contract before week 1. And it might mean less money, but if he signed like a 2 or 3 year contract, well, then he might be making a little bit more than he is now. And then he might be in a position to prove himself in the out years.
They can put in the incentives.
Well, I mean, the problem with the incentives for a quarterback, like for Cam Hayward, incentives would make sense. But the problem is he can't make any incentives if they don't play him. If Russell Wilson plays the whole season, that's not going to do him any good. And so where he would be best served, I think, is if he served a short, if he signed up for a short, like 2-year contract and made a little bit of money off of that. And then that takes him to 2026. And then by that time, he should be playing and then in a position to sign a bigger contract. He's in a tough position. And I think Pittsburgh was right not to exercise his 5th-year option, because he maybe he'll play this year, but he might not. It's 50-50. With Deshaun Elliott, the guy from the NFL Network is a guy named Gennaro Felice, who made those comments, and he was basically talking about how dependable he is. He's played a lot of snaps, and that he's a versatile safety. He can play strong safety, he can play free safety, he can play up in the box, but he was really relying on the quality of his play. He was purely relying on the grades from the Pro Football Focus, PFF. And frankly, I don't think that really tells the story. The too many times I've seen players have good games and then they get torn apart by the PFF grades. I took a look at some of his statistics, and in pass defense, he was targeted 29 times out of 593 pass coverage snaps that he allowed. And he allowed 65.5 completions on those 29 targets, compared to 55% for Keanu O'Neal, who was playing for the Steelers, and 50% for Minka Fitzpatrick. And the NFL average is like 58%. So he was not a great coverage safety. And quarterbacks, just to demonstrate that, when they targeted receivers that he was covering, they had 139.2 quarterback rating. When quarterbacks were throwing passes to receivers that Deshaun Elliott was covering. He seemed to be better on run defense. He played 367 running plays last year. He had a 7% missed tackle rate, which is very good. But just to give you a comparison, Minka had 2.5% missed tackle rate. That's a number of tackles that they missed. The total number of tackles, and then you add the number of misses, and then you divide it by the misses. So that's a good rate. But the best thing going for the Steelers is one is he's been available. He's been healthy this last year. He had injury problems in Baltimore. He played roughly 60% of his snaps at safety, 27% in the box, and 11.4% in the slot. So what this may do is allow Pittsburgh to play Minka back as a free safety instead of up front close to the line of scrimmage, so that Minka can make some splash plays. So I'm just saying that I'm not expecting the greatest out of Dante Elliott, but because he's reliable and he can play a lot of snaps, that might allow Minka to play a greater role. But I'm not expecting Deshaun Elliott to be having an all-pro season.
Okay. Sounds fair. All right. Don, final thoughts.
Well, kind of give my final thoughts with Caitlin Clark, but I'll just kind of add on to what Dave was talking about Deshaun Elliott. I had a pleasure to watch Deshaun Elliott play college. He's a Longhorn guy, and so you're right. He's very dependable. He has a knack for finding the football. The only downfall he has, it seems like every year he has some kind of nagging injury that bothers him, whether it's a pectoral muscle or biceps muscle, pull, tear, whatever. I think a healthy Deshaun Elliott will be very instrumental to the success of the Steelers this year. And so I'll be watching some Steelers game just because of him. So that's really not my final thought, I guess, but that's going to have to – because I already talked about Caitlin Clark and how the economic impact of her presence affects everyone. So I'll just leave it at that for now.
Okay. Mr. Scott, I know you want to celebrate Mike Tomlin's extension here, so I'll give you the floor.
Well, I wanted to ask the two Bobos, the two people that love Mike Tomlin, who made that decision to get Wilson and then to get the guy from who makes this? Who made that decision? What was their thinking to get Russell Wilson? They knew that they're not going to have to pay him, so was it? They went into it that he's going to be our starter. We're going with that. And then the other guy just falls to them. What is their thinking? Is this a Tomlin decision? Is this a GM decision? What is the plan for them?
The answer to your question, Anthony, is that the Steelers use a corporate decision-making process. So it's basically Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin are equals. It's not like with some teams where the general manager is the boss of the head coach or vice versa. They're equals, and they both report directly to Art Rooney II, the owner. And so basically on big decisions like this, it's usually the three of them. But it would be Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin coming to an agreement, and then Art Rooney II, who's the owner with the money, saying, yeah, okay, I'm with you. Or he could always overrule him at the end of the day. What happened in the quarterback situation was they got Russell Wilson for a song. They're paying him $1.5 million. And then the idea was that they had Kenny Pickett, and that he would play behind Russell Wilson, that there would be a quarterback competition. And, but most people felt that, okay, he would probably play behind Russell Wilson to kind of work himself into the NFL game, because he was showing some warts in his first couple seasons. Well, Kenny Pickett, once they picked up Russell Wilson, he basically said, I went out. I don't want to compete for my job. And so the Steelers, Mike Tomlin, his famous quote is, hey, I don't want hostages. They traded him. Okay, so once they traded him, well, now they needed a backup. Well, then all of a sudden, Justin Fields is available for not very much money. He's on his rookie contract. and they could have exercised this 5th-year option. They didn't, but they were able to get 2 potentially good quarterbacks for very, very little.
Less than $5 million.
Right. And so now, what they're going to have to decide to do is at the end of the season, are we going to try to sign one or both of them to a longer term? That's why I'm saying that it might be to Justin Fields' advantage to see if he can get a 2 or 3 year contract from the Steelers before the season starts, because then he's there. He has a place to stay, and he's not obligated for too long, so that he can go out and get a bigger bag. But that's kind of what happened. The key to it was once Kenny Pickett no longer wanted to compete for his job and expressed a desire to go, well, then that's what led to them getting both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. And who knows, 3 years from now, neither might be on the roster. Hope that answers your question.
Well, just a very curious, how that decision, how that fell into place is just, really, from the outside looking in. I know the insiders, they have a different take, and it's somewhat biased as it goes. But, as an outsider looking in, that was very curious to me.
Yeah, and the thing is the person that's always in the background is Art Rooney II. It's just like whenever Mike Tomlin wanted to hire the Miami head coach after he got fired. That's now up in Minnesota, your defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Well, he couldn't unilaterally just say, hey, I want to hire you. He walked down to tell Art Rooney, hey, I'd like to hire him. And Art Rooney just said, sure. But he could have just as well have said no. So that's something that people forget is that there's kind of like this 3-way communication between the general manager, the head coach, and the owner.
So did that settle your question for you, Mr. Scott?
Well, it confirmed, a thought in the back of my head that it's somewhat dysfunctional, but that's neither here nor there. So
yeah. From the man that says that that Minnesota is going to beat the Lions twice and the Green Bay Packers twice. Okay. And picked the Timberwolves to win the championship.
Well, Dallas did it. They did it. They pulled a number. That was really a bad deal. Every game, Luka's hurt. They say, oh, the man's so hurt. And then he drops 30 on you. And then the last game, even Jason Kidd even got into it. He got out, oh, the man is in a wheelchair. He can't get to practice. He's so hurt. And he drops. See, that's not going to work with Boston. That running game, they ran game on us. And so, they got away with it there. But
I got the Mavericks in 6, Mr. Scott. Give me the final thoughts there today.
Yeah, I'll stick to the Mike Tomlin theme. When it was announced that they signed Mike Tomlin to a 3-year extension, predictably, Pittsburgh fans were split. You had those fans that were saying, terrible move. We're just going to continue with mediocrity. He should have been fired years ago. It's been years since we've won a playoff game. You had other fans that were saying, this is fantastic news. He should be the coach for life. And, the bottom line is we all have our own opinions. And for those of us that are at least over 18 or 19, we're all adults. And we should be able to accept or at least listen to other people's opinions without getting all emotional, regardless of how outlandish they might sound. Because a lot of times you read some of the social media stuff and people are just going off the handle. And I'm just saying is just because somebody expresses an opinion that you don't agree with doesn't mean that you have to change your opinion. It's just that, hey, that person has a different opinion. I might not like it. It might be something that I'm strongly against. But hey, let them be. Let them have their opinion, and you can keep your opinion. And I think that life would be a lot less volatile if we did that. So just treat each other as adults. That's my last word for tonight.
All right, guys. Well, hey, as always, a very interesting program. Always like to get the interaction there with Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott comes in sometime like that, only the shadow knows. But
Comes in hot.
But the last statement, I didn't get a real quick one. I'm on this kick for some worthy people that should be in the Hall of Fame, and particularly baseball and Jim Marshall in football. But as I was going through some of the numbers, and I think you Pittsburgh guys, would to say that I'm so biased against Pittsburgh, that's could be farther from the truth. I mean, that's. But Al Oliver, as I looked at his numbers, I looked at his career, and I'm like, why isn't this man in the Hall of Fame? It didn't make any sense. I mean, year after year, the consistency of his play, and it was a great fielder, great ball player, until the end of 15 years or so. And that's just kind of mystifying to me how certain people that seem to be just obvious to me, and they just can't get over the hump. So that's my final. And I compared him to Tony Oliva, who played 9 or 10 years. I mean, Tony had some great years, but the last 3 years,
great hitter.
He was on one leg. The last 3 years or so, he had the DH. He couldn't play the outfield anymore. And I looked at their stats. I mean, Al, boy, there's just no question. If you just looked at the numbers, you'd say, "Oh, Al Oliver, of course." But what do I know? It's like the great coach Denny Green said. The great thing about America is everybody has an opinion. Everybody can have an opinion. But what's even greater is you don't have to listen to it. So.
Hey, Don, what's happening with them Astros, man?
Hey,
since we're talking,
a lot of season left.
Baseball.
A lot of season left. So that there's still a lot of season left to be played, James.
All right, but the Rangers don't act like it.
I'm not. I'm not going to bash them or praise them just yet. Ask me again in July.
I'll ask you after the All-Star break. How's that?
Okay.
All right.
But speaking of players who aren't in the Hall of Fame that should be, Roger Clemens, 6 Cy Youngs. Six Cy Youngs.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And he's eligible, right? I mean, have there been any votes on him? I would have assumed he was in.
He was accused of doping, never proven. There's no evidence he ever doped, just no hearsay. But the sports writers have canceled him just based on hearsay. So there you go.
Yeah. I guess we can ask Barry about that, huh? All right, guys. Hey, great show. Look forward to talking to everybody next week. Have fun. Be safe.
Take care. Good seeing you all.
All right.
All right, James.